Hi, I'm Caitlyn Scaggs, Associate Vice President for University Relations here at Radford University. And today I'm joined by Dr. Amy Rubens. Dr. Rubens, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me here.
So let's start off by your title and your role here on campus.
I am the Interim Associate Dean of the College of Graduate Studies and Research, although our nickname for that college is the Grad College. I'm also an Associate Professor of English. And in my interim role as Associate Dean of the Graduate College, I assist Dr. Ben Caldwell, the Dean, in leading the college. One of the primary things I do is support graduate students, and so I'm here today to talk about life as a grad student at Radford.
Well, that's wonderful. So let's dive right into that. What is it like to be a graduate student?
Well, I think being a graduate student is a really exciting time and opportunity. It's a chance for a student to develop a broader understanding of their field or their discipline, but at the same time delve into a specialization or a specific interest where they can become experts in a particular area of their field of expertise.
So what can they expect in the classroom as a graduate student?
Well, number one, they can expect smaller class sizes, which is really great because you have a chance to have close interaction with faculty as well as peers in your program. We call that a cohort. And so classes are often driven by discussion and inquiry. Your professor in grad college is more of a sort of a co-pilot in your learning experience. So you'll have a lot of personal interaction with faculty. Classes are also really exciting because they give you a chance to kind of become more independent in the classroom. So as an undergrad, you have maybe been used to the professor sort of taking the lead and determining what you might study and when you might study it. But many professors here at Radford like to give their students a chance to have some input on what is actually studied and when. So you might lead class discussion with a small group of your peers. You might determine readings for a particular day, and then you'll become the expert on the readings for that day.
So it sounds like there's more of a leading role in pursuing education, pursuing studies, close connections with faculty. This reading piece, is there a lot of reading they can expect?
Sure. Well, the nature of graduate study is everything is more and more intense. So there's more reading, there's more expected of students, but we know that the students that we invite to campus can handle those challenges. And they actually, by the end of the semester, by the end of the year, by the end of their degree, they are doing much more than they ever thought they could. So it's a challenge, but it's one that we know that students can meet eventually and exceed their expectations.
That's really wonderful. I love hearing that piece, that what might start as intimidating or challenging is soon going to grow to be something they're comfortable with and excelling in. So I think that's great for them to know as they begin their first semester here with us. What type of expectations do we have for our graduate students?
There's a lot expected of graduate students, the type of work, the quality of work, the amount of work, but what you're going to get out of it will be amazing. You'll be getting a greater sense of what your discipline is about, and you'll also get a better sense of a specific interest or area of specialty within that, and you'll become an expert. Graduate school, with the amount of work that is often assigned to students, students have to learn to manage their time appropriately. That's true of any student, even of an undergraduate, but I think time management will be especially important for anyone going into a graduate program for the first time. Class often is a little bit different too. Classes are typically smaller, and that's great because you are able to have more interaction with the faculty person teaching the course. There's more time for discussion, so everyone gets a chance to share their thoughts and opinions, but also form new ones by participating in a discussion with individuals who may be very different from you. Students who may be slightly older or younger, who have different life experiences. So that's one of the positives. Other things that are expected of grad students is they take more initiative in their own learning. So coming up with questions, noticing connections between topics of study. And faculty members sort of guide that initiative or nurture that initiative by creating spaces in the curriculum for grad students to take the lead, to determine the curriculum or the direction of conversations and what actually is on the agenda for the day.
You've told me a little bit about how our students interact with their faculty. Tell me more about what they can expect.
Students can expect mentors in Radford graduate faculty. Faculty here are really here to be partners in learning with students. This isn't a sort of where you only have contact with faculty while you see them in class. In graduate school, you will often sort of seek feedback and assistance from faculty outside of the classroom. Many students who are in graduate school are here because they excelled as undergrads, and so they may not be used to, or they may not be used to seeking assistance from faculty during office hours because they typically did well as an undergraduate. And they might equate going to office hours with not understanding something or needing help because something isn't clear. And certainly that happens as a graduate student. In those cases, students should utilize office hours to seek feedback from faculty. But one thing that graduate students want to do is to seek assistance from faculty even when they think they're doing well. For example, let's say a student has a paper to submit mid-semester and they feel like they have a pretty good handle on what they're supposed to do on the paper. It still may be a good idea to ask for feedback from the faculty person who has assigned it. So faculty are here to provide support during class time, but also, especially as graduate faculty, support outside of the classroom as well.
And I think that you've made a really good point that seeking that feedback proactively is not a sign of weakness or a sign of struggle, but yet it's a sign of being proactive in your own education. So I think that's a really good bit of advice for our students.
Right. Learning opportunities are not just confined to class time, especially during one's graduate studies.
To that end, what kind of opportunities exist outside of the classroom? So aside from going to meet with faculty members for office hours, are there other opportunities available?
Definitely. Many of our incoming grad students will be GAs or GTAs who are teaching. Those are opportunities to interact with faculty and other professionals across campus and to develop some experience in addition to academic studies. It's a chance maybe to put some academic studies or skills into practice, so opportunities to apply learning in that way. But for grad students who aren't teaching or who won't be working as GAs on campus, there are many, many ways that students can extend their learning outside of the classroom and also take that learning and apply it into some really sort of interesting and vibrant learning experiences. So for example, many faculty work with students on research projects and they then assist students in presenting that research at local, regional, and even international conferences.
Wonderful.
Now I know that travel, we're in a pandemic situation and travel may not be possible, but there are still many conferences that are now moving to a virtual format. And so students would have a chance to present their own research at those conferences and contribute to the knowledge of a discipline. So rather than just sort of learn from other experts, students become the experts in that sense. So conferences, one opportunity to professionalize. Of course, we have many clinical experiences that our graduate students are involved in. So there are opportunities to participate in workshops and other seminars where they can develop clinical skills or share their clinical experiences and knowledge with others.
That's wonderful. So a host of opportunities available both in, around the classroom. I could see where some folks might be intimidated right now. They're hearing all of this and they're thinking, wow, you've admitted me into this program, but do I have what it takes? What would you say for those people who are fighting a little bit of those nervous feelings?
I would say that it's completely normal. We use a term called imposter syndrome, and it's not just a term that's used to talk about graduate students. This applies to many fields, but many graduate students have those feelings of inadequacy or maybe a little bit of insecurity about whether or not they belong here in graduate school. I would say that if you're feeling those things, or later in the semester if those feelings crop up, it's completely normal, but it also is not necessarily indicative of sort of reality. You've been admitted to the program for a reason. You've passed some very rigorous tests to be here. You deserve to be here. So if you're feeling inadequate or comparing yourself to peers in your cohort, I would suggest that you kind of reconnect with yourself and remind yourself of why you wanted to be here, and to remind yourself that you do deserve to be here. And then also it may be comforting to know that that's sort of a common feeling. And even if people aren't admitting to it, they likely feel that way, or have at least at one point in their graduate studies career.
Great advice. How can these students proactively have conversations with their families and loved ones as they prepare to enter graduate school?
Sometimes others that you share your life with, whether that be a spouse, a partner, perhaps other family members, you may be caring for a child, it's important to share with people close to you the nature of graduate work. Not everyone is aware of what graduate school is and what it asks of students. So I would suggest explaining expectations to your loved ones in your life, but also setting clear boundaries. Graduate school is unique in that there's probably always something that you could be doing. You could always be reading more. You could always be working on that experiment more. You could always be doing something. But there comes a time where you have to decide at the end of the day that you're going to stop work. And I do believe that you should treat graduate studies as if it were a job. It's work. It's exciting work. But it's work that you might have to say, at this point, I'm going to stop on this project just temporarily. And focus on something else. So in addition to talking to your family members about expectations of what it takes to be in grad school, I would also say it's important to set very firm boundaries with your work life, your studies, and other things going on, whether it's another job that you have or your personal obligations.
If a student finds themselves feeling like they need additional resources, what options do they have here on campus?
Number one, especially academically, I would suggest that a student go to the faculty member in which they're taking a class from. Office hours, always use office hours. If it was a good idea as an undergrad, it's as equally as a good idea to utilize those office hours as a grad student. In addition to that, always talk to your advisor, your academic advisor. And as a graduate student, your academic advisor will be a faculty member in your program, if not in your area of expertise. So feel free to reach out to your academic advisor. Even if you would just like some feedback on what classes to take next, or what sort of additional enrichment opportunities to pursue, such as submitting work to a conference. You also might consider reaching out to your graduate program coordinator. They're an excellent resource in terms of navigating your program, understanding requirements that are related to your program, but also just being a grad student in general here at Radford. If students are finding that they need additional support, and maybe in areas that connect to academics but aren't just limited to academics, I think it's a good idea to reach out to our counseling service here. And there are also a host of other options for students to utilize, whether they're on campus or off, for connecting with their peers, relaxing, and just having a good time, and really trying to maintain that appropriate work-life balance.
Often I hear people talk about the Radford family. What does that mean to you?
It means a group that's supportive. One of the great things about being a student at Radford is you have so much support in terms of what you want to do. So graduate school is really sort of about finding yourself in a way that's a little bit different than the searching that you may have done as an undergrad. As a grad student, you have a sense of what you want to do, but there are still some questions to resolve: how you might specialize, how you might apply that specialized knowledge in a particular career path. And so you have support as you navigate those questions and find answers. Part of being the Radford family also is something that continues even beyond your time here. And that's something that's really special. With your graduate cohort, you're going to make some lifelong friends. You're going to develop yet another layer to your professional network, and you're going to have faculty here that are going to be interested in what you're doing even when you're not in their classroom anymore, or even long after graduation. The connections that our students have to our faculty, lifelong connections, it's really amazing. And so that's one of the things that I love about working at Radford and working with students at Radford.
So the Radford family is a connected family.
It is.
I've really enjoyed talking with you today. I've learned a lot, and I'm getting very excited about our students coming back. Any final words for them?
We are really looking forward to welcoming students back to the start of the academic year. I just also wanted to make students aware that if they need any support at any time, they can reach out to their faculty advisor, their program coordinator, or anyone at the grad college with questions, and we're here to support them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.